Hey, hello, you're starting to try with Wolf. Go like a few minutes riffing on IT and IT security. Today, talking about using business concepts to drive actions in your security program, such as things like incident response. You know, it's one thing to talk the language of the business. Put it in business terms, I say. Talk about dollars and cents. Talk about what matters to the organization, right? If you're a shipping company, talk about the trucks. But it's another thing entirely to use security terms, business terms to describe security events. And when you do that, fundamentally change the conversation because the organization is already primed to think that way. I've seen two really good examples this week, and that's why I'm thinking about this. But I want to say to you, the tip is, look at the ways your organization is talking, handling defects, handling risks, and co-opt those terms. I'm going to give you two examples, one from the world of manufacturing and another from the world of medicine. In manufacturing, specifically in things like Six Sigma, there's a high degree of focus on defects, right? A high degree of focus on defects. And on defects in quality control, there are various ways when you're in the manufacturing line for getting to the bottom of things. One of the ways is called 8D. 8D is for the 8 disciplines that were originally identified by Ford and some program. There's a long history to it. But with 8D, you look at several different things, and it's a way of troubleshooting and diagnosing what happens when there's been a failure in the production of some piece of component, right? It's things like looking at the team, looking at what happened, figuring out how to contain the problem immediately, figuring out how to rectify it, figuring out what the root cause was, from the root cause, figuring out how you're going to correct it, and then of course figuring out how you're going to prevent it. You can look up 8D and get all the right terms, but the point is this: manufacturing companies already know this. So I was talking to a manufacturing CISO, and the manufacturing CISO said, look, it's kind of interesting, we use 8D forms when we talk about a security incident. And we put in those terms because we find our manufacturing guys already get it, they already understand, as opposed to saying, there's this, that, and the other you should do. And we say it in terms of, here's our 8D, they go, all right, we need to hop on this. Because they're already pre-trained institutionally to address manufacturing issues using that form. Similarly, I was talking to a medical CISO who was using an SBAR form. SBAR is a medical term. It's the situation, the background, the assessment, and then the recommendation, right? Again, like 8D, SBAR, you can look it up, you can Google it and read about it. I'm not going to go into the history of it. The point is, SBARs are usually used when triaging patient health. Here, the security team is using SBAR, those exact same steps, those exact same process, exact same form, to triage and diagnose security incidents. Because similar to the 8D in the manufacturing space, that allows them to talk with the medical staff and gain action because the medical staff is already pre-primed to respond to SBAR. This goes beyond talking the language of the business. This is using the business functions, the business terms, again in manufacturing and in healthcare, to drive actions, because in those organizations with those forms and those terms, the organization's already pre-primed to act on it. And that is fantastic. That's such a cool idea, because so oftentimes we're like, here's the NIST model of incident response, here's what SAN says, and organizations are like, fine, okay, I'm going to contain and eradicate, whatever. As opposed to us getting a lot of action and leveraging what's already going on, right? Embracing and extending, to use the old Microsoft phrase, embracing and extending the culture to put security in as just another risk or just another defect. I love this idea. Do you do it in your space? Do you have an interesting way that you achieved it in your organization? Hit me up in comments or social media. Cheers.